I'm Rob Thomas, editor-in-chief of Club and Resort Business, and welcome to the Club and Resort Talks podcast. Today's podcast is sponsored by Stone Group Architects. Stone Group Architects is a premier partner in crafting private club environments. The team comprises 33 professionals with more than 250 years of hands-on experience. They take immense pride in being a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business dedicated to crafting spaces nationwide where veterans thrive, ensuring they receive the honor and care they rightfully deserve. CEO Todd Stone leads the team to deliver projects on time and within budget, rooted in honesty, integrity, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. Learn more at stonegrouparchitects.com. With that taken care of, let me tell you that our guest today is Christine Kane, CEO of Audubon International. She talks about all the programs going on, a lot of exciting stuff taking place, and how your club can benefit from what they do. Not just your club, lodging, the communities, everything that goes into it in and around a golf course. But before we get to Christine, let me show you a little bit about news, what's going on in Club and Resort business this week. Vineyards Country Club completed a North Course renovation led by architect Kipp Schulties. The Naples, Florida club expanded yardage from the professional tees to bring the course up to championship level. Returfed with Bimini Bermudagrass on tees, fairways, and roughs, complemented by TifEagle greens for optimal playability and resilience, and much, much more. A lot going on there. Read clubandresortbusiness.com. Next up, there's a Florida resort making a first milestone in its expansive $92 million revitalization. Saddlebrook Resort in Wesley Chapel, Florida, that's the Tampa area, unveiled its new 13-acre driving range. The facility features a double-sided driving range, two TifEagle Bermuda grass putting greens, and three short game areas, complete with greenside bunkers. Wow. Last but not least, Kawano Golf Club appoints a new clubhouse architect. Joel Newman, a partner in Thomas and Denzinger Architects, has been named to design the clubhouse, lodging, training center, and comfort stations. Kawano Golf Club is the first private course to be built in Greenville, South Carolina in more than 30 years. Wow, a lot going on down there. So without further ado, let's kick it right to Christine Kane, CEO of Audubon International. Hello, and welcome back to the Club and Resort Talks podcast. I'm joined by Christine Kane, CEO of Audubon International. Christine, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for being here. Hey, quick, if you could give us, before we get into the nuts and bolts of our conversation, if you give me a little like an elevator pitch, what is Audubon International?
Okay, well, thank you. We're a nonprofit organization, and primarily we work with businesses who own or manage property to do it in a more sustainable manner. And to do that, we use a number of tools such as education, technical assistance, and certifications, voluntary certifications to help people start their sustainability journey and then keep moving forward with it.
Stopping at the Audubon International booth is always one of my favorite stops when I'm at the GCSAA. You guys do wonderful things, and sometimes there's even birds of prey, owls and such in the booth. So I love seeing you guys. Expansion. You've had quite a year. Audubon International has seen significant growth. Share a little bit. Golf, lodging, sustainable communities. What about this expansion and why?
Well, let's talk about the why first. I think that since we all went through, unfortunately, this shared journey of COVID, people have really begun to think differently about the importance of nature and the impacts that it has on our lives, and particularly those spaces that are close to home. And, I don't know about you, but for a long time and growing up, you always thought nature was something you had to go to or be in somehow. And I think now we have realized that, it's the park around the corner, it's the municipal playground, and it's the golf course that are close to home. So it makes a big difference, and we have to change the way we interact with them and think of them as an important part of the whole natural world. Which sort of leads us to the expansion in that we have seen growth in both the golf side of things, but also in the hospitality side of things. So in our certifications, we have two for golf. So our largest is called our Cooperative Sanctuary Program. That's the largest by number of members, for instance. And that's for existing operating golf courses, not planning any big expansion or anything, who that wants to operate in a more sustainable manner. And then we have what's called our signature program, which is our most elite program, and that is for properties that are undergoing a significant restoration, renovation, or completely new build. Then on the other side of the house, we have green lodging and green hospitality, somewhat self-explanatory, right? Green lodging involves lodging. Green hospitality is things that don't necessarily have lodging. And what we've seen is a lot of interest, a lot of crossover between those two things, because you may be a golf property that has lodging, or you may be a resort that also has golf. So what we did was add a new level, our highest level platinum certification under the signature program for those types of properties. So they want to include more than one type of certification, and they would prefer to just have one certification that they can talk about instead of trying to promote, say, maybe three different certifications, one for the lodging, one for the golf, and maybe one for, say, a retail part if they have that. So we created that in answer to that need and the questions that we are getting from folks. And we have seen a tremendous amount of growth in that, in the interest in that, evidenced, for instance, by the folks at Cabot, who have selected us as their sustainability partner. And they have really fantastic high-end golf properties that include some of these other things like lodging and entertainment or commercial retail, for instance. And in this way, they can work with one partner. They have consistent standards and the direct line to who they're supposed to talk to get personalized service. And then they can bring all of their properties within a sustainable certification at a very high level that covers the whole property.
Well, Cabot's a big deal. I
Yeah.
know they're across North America,
Yeah,
down Florida, up to
they
Canada.
Canada, Scotland, France.
Yeah,
They just bought one in France. So
they're, so they're global.
they're growing too. Yeah.
And yeah, at Audubon International. Obviously, you guys can service them across the globe. So fantastic on you and Cabot for getting involved. I know a lot of these golf clubs, in particular, badge of honor when they're a signature sanctuary. And we're getting press releases and we post those right away. We're big in sustainability here at Club and Resort Business as well. And good on you, good on the golf clubs for getting this, and obviously the resorts and the communities. What have you like some of these golf courses, obviously the evolution and the approach to sustainability. What innovations or practices are most popular among some of these clubs that are seeking certification?
Well, it does vary by the property because everybody has different is in a different location. That's part of what we want to bring to the program is we're not coming in and trying to change your situation so it doesn't make sense for where you are. So water is a big issue for folks, either in the water quality issue or the water conservation, the amount of it. So almost everybody wants to talk about water. It's like two sides of the same coin with those two issues. And which one is most important is depends on where you're located. For instance, if you're in, southwestern United States, you're probably a little bit more interested in the quantity and where you're going to get the water from and conserving it so you can make the most use of what you have. But if you're in, say the northeastern United States where it's still, a relatively water-rich environment, then your focus might be more on the water quality and how you're maintaining high water quality on your property. But in between, in addition to those things, there's a lot of other things, the changes in chemical use and the handling of that and the storage. Um, all kinds of everything from different mowing regimes to different planting, trying to get more areas turf out of play and planted in native plants for many of those same reasons. And sometimes they take a little more maintenance as you're trying to establish them for the first 2 or 3 years. And then you'll see the benefits through less need for water, less need for maintenance. So, there's always benefits from what you're doing. It's just sort of a timing of when you're going to see which ones.
Well, the superintendents out there across the country and their maintenance teams are doing yeoman's work. Fantastic. They're working really hard. You say the chemical it's a big deal. It's a lot more than just cutting the grass, obviously for those guys, and it's good to know they have a partner. Getting back to lodging real quick.
Yeah.
You see, if you go to a hotel, and every hotel I've been to has a little card saying, "Hey, we're trying to conserve. We're doing our part. Reuse your towels. If you need new towels, contact us or whatever." So, I mean, that's just a small part that these hotels are doing, and I'm sure that's a large part because there's so many darn hotels out there, and it adds up. How is Audubon International working with these resorts and hotels to meet their sustainability goals?
Well, great question. There's again, when in both the green lodging and the green hospitality certifications, we have standards. So it's interesting that those two, green lodging and green hospitality, come a little bit more from the built environment, where our other certifications come from the natural environment. There's more land-based. But in green hospitality, we can work with everything to a five-star resort to one hotel that's standalone in a parking lot, right? So we do look more at what's happening interior, sort of air quality issues, energy issues, food and beverage uses, in addition to, the water and other things that we're looking at anyway. We did just, I'm pretty proud of the fact that we just got approved, if that's the right word, by Travelist, which is a group out of the UK, and they are trying very hard to try and get the sustainability or the hotel and resort industry onto sort of a single set of standards so that it's a little easier for the traveling public to understand what they're getting when they're trying to look for sustainable travel. And so Travelist just issued their first list of programs that are compliant with their standards, and we were selected for that list. So we're very excited about that. And several of the subsequent benefits of that are the hospitality programs or properties in our certification programs are now currently being listed on Expedia.com as sustainable travel choices. We just heard from Google Travel that they're going to be adding us on, and Booking.com is about maybe 2 or 3 weeks out for that. So that's a big, because in Booking.com's latest study, they did show that the traveling public the searches for sustainable travel have gone up by about 75%. And that shows consistent growth over the last couple of their studies. So, people are looking to lessen their input to try to be as aware as they can be. So it's important to have these kinds of certifications to help the traveling public know what you're doing, externally, and to help, validate internally why you're making these efforts and working on it to encourage your team to keep going with these and to support it and to help you grow it.
All right, booking.com, yeah, right? So
Exactly. Yes, yes.
that's
We also just
fantastic.
recently won an award. It's called the Green Apple Award from the Green Organization for it's an international award, and that was for all of our certifications, the standards and the fact that we do our own audits, if you will. Like we have our own people that go out to do the site visits on property, so we can provide consistency in enforcement of and upholding the standards, but also to be able to provide resources and information and education to help you keep going, right? To grow, to get better with ideas you can look into how to promote. The other thing too is we require outreach and education as part of all of our certifications. And there's sort of two big reasons for that. There's a lot of reasons, but two big reasons is yes, we do want the people who are on the front lines at these properties to be recognized for the effort that they're making to do this. Sometimes there's many cases we're asking them to set up a green team, but sometimes if you're at a golf course, you're a 18-hole golf course, it's the superintendent out there by himself or herself trying to move this forward. And then on the flip side of that again is to try and help your communities, and that can be defined in a lot of different ways, understand these efforts that you're making to support nature, to be more sustainable, to be a good partner. And so whether that community is your members, neighbors who live around you, committees and other people within the watershed that you're in, so it can have a lot of impact in showing that you are being proactive and being a good partner for the environment and your community.
That's an excellent transition here from the micro of one property, one be it
Right.
a golf club or a resort to a chain, to the macro of a community. Can you think of any success stories that stand out in this, relatively new sustainable communities program?
Well, sustainable communities is geared more towards municipalities or homeowner associations, oftentimes, again, either around a golf course or they have golf courses. And so that's I guess you might say, our most in-depth, so to speak, because it covers 15 different focal areas. And it talks about everything from, transportation to recreation to agriculture even, and how that can be integrated into the community and what makes sense for that community. And, again, we are just seeing a lot more cross-pollination between these, so a community that's had a golf course for years certified with us now reaching out to saying, well, why can't we get the rest of the property certified as a sustainable community? And we're like, well, you absolutely can. And that makes sense because it's supporting, it's not making your golf course an island within an area that's not perhaps doing activities that are not as supportive of that certification as it could be. So this is another good way. So we have, for instance, in Amelia Island, we work there with the Visitors Bureau. And so we've had a lot of success there with everything from hotels to individual restaurants and other recreational-based businesses. They have really decided as the whole island that they want to really become as sustainable as they can be, which, you have to see once you're on an island, right, you get more of an idea. Everything has to come in and go off. So it's easy to see the results of how that's working quickly. On the other hand, we have the municipality, the town of Hilton Head, that has come at it from a municipal point of view and implementing a number of things into their processes for the town. So there's a lot of, again, it's a wide range of how you can promote it. And that's what we try to do. We don't want to come in and say, you must do this, this, and this, and you must do it this particular way. Because our point is we want everybody to be on the sustainability train, so to speak, and get on where you can and then move forward. If you make it sound too hard to people or too expensive, for instance, too much manpower or person power, then they're not going to do it. They're just not going to commit. And we would rather see you start, right? And then get excited about it and see the benefits and the results and then continue to move forward.
Yeah, very much like a weight loss journey, right? We're all on these. Doesn't matter where you start, just start.
Right,
All right.
exactly. Yep.
So it's not always a straight line. There's hiccups. There's bumps and
Yep.
bumps in every road. Uh, how or what some of those challenges that Audubon has and is facing, and how are you guys overcoming those challenges?
Well, I would say our challenges are probably the same as many of our members challenges. You have to, there's always, unfortunately, changes in people, or you always wish you could have more staff, and different ways that you want to get the word out, right? It was better at communication. Um, from our point of view, we obtain most of our income from annual member dues, and then we also get sponsors and grants to help us complete our operating budget. So maybe getting grants is not something that, a golf superintendent is out doing very often, but so that could be one different thing. But we do have some who are really on top of that. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Fairways Foundation, that actually helped to start and was on their board and ran their grant committee for the first 3 years, I think. And the idea behind that is to fund sustainability projects at golf courses, things that would not normally get done. And so we've had some really interesting grant projects through there. I'm not on their board anymore, and we just found out that we just got a grant from them for $25,000 to help us relaunch our Monarchs in the Rough program, which is creating monarch butterfly habitat in out-of-play areas on golf courses. And, like many other people's programs, everything kind of went quiet during COVID. So we're, fully staffed again, and we want to get that up and running. So that's a new exciting thing for us.
I love that. I love the Monarchs in the Rough. I remember reporting on that when it first came out, and it's, I mean, who doesn't love butterflies, right? They're gorgeous,
Right.
fluttering
Well,
around.
it's our iconic butterfly species here in the US, right? As it flies, back and forth between Mexico and Canada every year.
So spectacular, and I'm glad to see you're doing your part in keeping that thing, keeping it alive. How does Audubon International measure your success and of the certification programs, and how do you communicate those? Let people know that, hey, you're doing right, and we're going to share it with the world. How are you approaching that?
Yeah, well, in terms of sharing, we have heard from our members some requests and some help, and in our current strategic plan, that's something we're really working to improve upon. And we have our quarterly magazine, if you will, newsletter that we put out that features many of our members in it. And then we have internally, we have regular sort of memos, technical memos, and other newsletters that we send out to our members to try to give them the resources that they need to move forward and get the word out amongst their community, as we talked about their communities, about what they're doing. We also are trying to feature, case studies, success stories, we call them, about our members and what they're doing, so that not only can they perhaps inspire other golf courses and other businesses to participate in the program, but again, they can have something that they can have then to promote what it is that they're doing and help them explain and help people understand why they're participating in the program.
Right. I'll get you out on this one. I always ask people to get out their crystal ball, right?
Okay.
So beyond 2025, okay, I want you to tell me what your priorities are for 2025, first off, but then think 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. Where do you see Audubon International's role in not only golf and uh, lodging, communities, but beyond perhaps?
Well, for 2025, we particularly want, as I mentioned, Monarchs in the Rough. We want to get that program completely up and running and get the word out that it is up and running again and build on. We have about 800 courses in that program and about a little 1,200 acres of habitat that have been pledged through the program. So we would like to continue growing that, and that's a big priority for us in 2025. Again, we want to continue to work on the communication and externally, right, to help us. Thank you so much for having us on today, because this is part of that goal, to try to help us reach different parts of, the golfing community, the travel community, HOAs and municipalities, for instance, who would like to take a sustainability step on a larger scale, so that we can build the understanding about the variety of certifications we have, but how they really all support each other and support the sustainability journey of a member. We, of course, would like to grow our membership and have more places enrolled in the program and working towards certification. That's always a goal every year. And so, 5 years, 10 years down the road, I mean, we are known as the trusted name in environmental certifications, and we would like to build upon that and become, sort of the go-to, the number one choice, and more partnerships like we have with Cabot, for instance. We've also partnered with the Johnny Morris Nature Resorts. There's a property in his premier property in Big Cedar. It's called Big Cedar in Missouri, outside of Springfield. And they too have come on board with all of their golf and their hospitality um, parts of their business. So we're looking at growing more in that way, I guess, to help these larger properties that have, instead of looking at their disparate parts, to help them look at it as a whole and help them certify their whole property so that they can message it better and build upon it.
Wow, I've been to Branson and Big Cedar, and no surprise that Johnny Morris is joining y'all in
Yeah,
this mission.
beautiful property.
Yes, fantastic. Christine Kane, thank you very much for joining us, and please keep us posted on what's going on.
All right. Well, thank you for having us. I really appreciate it.